To one son, he gave the power over body. To the other, power over the soul. This is the legend of the Double Dragon.
Today's feature is Double Dragon, the 1994 live-action adaptation of the Double Dragon video game. Not the NES version, mind you. This is the adaptation of the Tiger handheld version of Double Dragon. And I'm not even shitting on that version. I still remember playing that thing on the way to school. It was so amazing and so much fun. And if there is a kids react video for the Double Dragon Tiger handheld, I don't ever want to watch it because I don't want to see those shitty little kids dragging this game to within an inch of his life. It was all we had. Double Dragon begins with the legend of the Double Dragon medallion being told by Koga Shuko.
To save his people, the good king sacrificed himself to create a mystical medallion.
Shuko tells us that the medallion was created when the king of Shangsa sacrificed himself to save his city from an army of shadow warriors.
Realizing the ultimate powers of the medallion, the king split it in half. To one son, he gave the power over body. To the other, power over the soul.
It's kind of like those friendship necklaces that girls wear, but badass and for boys. Also, the king sacrificed himself to create this medallion, so I guess he was just working overtime to give the pieces to his son. Did he not sacrifice his life to create the medallion? Was he just sacrificing his time? The movie begins somewhere in China, and that's not me being lazy. We are literally just somewhere on a landmass roughly the size of the United States. And the Shadow Warriors are attacking a village, and they recover half of the medallion, quite easily, mind you. We then travel to New Angeles in the year 2007. And New Angeles is what remains of Los Angeles after the great earthquake of 2000. We finally meet the evil Koga Shuko, played by the great Robert Patrick, and we find that he's been relaying this legend of the Double Dragon to Lash and his two valet parking henchmen, Huey and Lewis. Now, these characters have those names just so they could make one joke later on. That is the only reason. And we'll have a big celebration when they finally get to it.
After their victory, Princes hid the medallions to prevent them from ever being used for evil.
Also, how long have they been standing there getting history lessons from their evil boss? Is this going to be on the henchman final? Do we have to know dates? Shuko's henchman Huey is played by the 80s and 90s staple villain Al Leong. Oh, I'm sorry. That is Jeff Amata. Al Leong actually plays Lewis. What? No, it's not. Oh, dear God. Okay. I know this looks bad, but, come on, they could be twins. They really do look alike. But, no, I'm not saying oh, they all look alike. What I'm saying is that I can't tell them apart. What? In light of recent actions, you've been ordered to attend 3 weeks of sensitivity training. Oh, come on, Daryl, and you have to make a donation of $100,000 to the Anti-Defamation League? Oh my God, it was not... it was not like that. I can't even tell Zach Braff and Dax Shepard apart. This was an honest mistake. So we learn that Shuko only has half of the medallion, and the other half is in the possession of Satori Amada, who is a legal guardian of Billy and Jimmy Lee. Billy and Jimmy are fighting in a tag team karate tournament, and Jimmy is the serious brother, a la Leonardo, and Billy is the party dude, just like Michelangelo. Although Michelangelo would never do something like this during a sanctioned tournament, Billy just kind of sucks. Like Raphael. What? Raphael is nobody's favorite Ninja Turtle. Wait, how did you people even get in here? This is a place of business. And now this movie tries to be a lot of other movies, but one of the main ones that it rips off is RoboCop. He's trying so hard to be a social satire like RoboCop, and they try to turn the mirror on the absurdity of our society with scenes like Vanna White and George Hamilton as news anchors.
It's Sunday. You're watching the Raiders Gladiators game on TV, and suddenly the house collapses.
How embarrassing, but it's not your fault.
It's everybody's fault. That's why you gotta go to Jack City.
If you have a smog fan, stay near it. And if you don't, get a job.
And yes, they do have commercials aplenty for jacks for your crumbling infrastructure and smog fans that help showcase that capitalism will always try to profit off our misery instead of actually trying to help fix the root cause. So I get that. But also, while this is a dystopian hellhole, I can't help but notice that the weather is freaking gorgeous.
They can look forward to balmy temperatures throughout the New Angeles area.
balmy? It's been high 80s every freaking day this summer. They really undershot that one. There is a citywide curfew in place at sundown, and the police pack it in for the night while gangs take over the city until the morning. The Lee brothers and Satori are stuck out past curfew and get jumped by the Mohawk gang. The Mohawks are led by Boa Bobo, who is an expert at Seagullian karate, which I guess means he'll stand perfectly still while wearing a blazer that is 2 sizes too big, and he will move his arms slightly while his opponents flip themselves onto a table. Bobo tells them that it's $50 to pass, and honestly, for a shakedown, that doesn't seem that unreasonable. Bobo tries to steal the other half of the Double Dragon, and they take off in their futuristic Wagon Queen family truckster that runs on trash. And I am getting extreme Super Mario Brothers vibes, and I am not digging it. They chase the brothers down an alley, but they get saved by the Power Core, which is led by Marion, played by Alyssa Milano. And this is early 90s Alyssa Milano, so no further commentary needed. We all know. And I guess Scott Wolf and Alyssa Milano were engaged while making this movie, but they broke it off shortly after. And I think Scott Wolf should consider himself lucky that he even made it as far as he did. We learn that the other half of the Double Dragon was given to Satori by her father, and legend says that he who possesses both halves can turn into a bodiless ghost with the strength of steel. Bobo was summoned to Shuko's office to answer for not acquiring the Double Dragon.
Satori, Imada. You know better than that. Not until I have my shades on.
And Shuko is not a fan of 60-watt lights, apparently. And as punishment for not securing the second half of the Double Dragon, Shuko puts a Bobo in the de-evolution chamber from Super Mario Bros. And turns him into this movie's version of a Goomba. Shuko shows up at the Lee house, and we learn that he and Satori go way back.
Just give me the medallion.
I think not. I put continents between the medallions just to keep them out of your grasp. You'll never find the dragons.
What's going on?
How have they managed to keep it hidden all these years? And like, Satori was also just wearing it out and about today. At least put it in a coffee tin in the back of your cupboard or something. Shuko uses the power of the soul to take over Satori's body to try and trick the brothers into giving up the medallion.
Give me the medallion and you can escape. With the dragon, I can stay behind and protect you.
Wait a second, I'll stay behind, Satori. Just tell me how to turn this thing on.
Give it to me!
No, Satori, don't let her have it!
I mean, he was about to actually give it to you. If you would have just waited like 30 more seconds, you could have easily convinced him. That's just terrible impulse control. And just then, the new Abobo makes his grand entrance, and not many villains have a ball sack for a neck pillow. And with good reason. That looks dumb as hell. He's more testicle now than man. Twisted and evil. Shuko again demands the medallion back, but they refuse.
Now you've gone and locked poor Satori in this dangerous old theater.
What's so dangerous about it?
It's a fire trap.
So now there was definitely a conversation during a brief pause in the fighting where Shuko said to Huey and Lewis, okay, now at some point I'm going to say it's a fire trap and I'll snap my fingers and then you pour the gasoline. Got it? Ready? Break! Tori locks them in the building while she fights Shuko and he knocks her out and shadows away while the brothers struggle to open the door. So Shuko can use the power of soul anytime he wants, but for some reason the brothers can't use the power of the body and the building blows up, killing Satori.
Set a meeting with the gangs.
Why?
Through them, the medallion will be mine.
What? Why do you need the gangs for that? Jimmy and Billy are right over there. Like, go get it. So all the gangs in the city are summoned to the arena.
So who is this Hungus Bogasic who says he's gonna unite the gangs?
Nobody knows who he is. He's totally hollow. But he's spreading the goods around. And if we don't jack in, we'll all be vapor!
Guys, that is far too much futuristic slang. We have no idea what you're talking about. Like, that is enough gibberish to last an entire movie, and they just dumped it all at once with zero context. And Shuko then takes over control of the gangs. Whoa! That griff was totally siphoned on the beanbag, nephew. The gangs violate the truce with the police and they come out during the daytime and they attack the brothers. And now the guy who played Jimmy trained for weeks and performed all of his own stunts. And Scott Wolf is just like, I don't want to swing a traffic cone. I'll be in my trailer. Call me for the awkward close-ups. The gang chase him down the river, which now runs through Hollywood Boulevard. And what's funny is that this is supposed to be a dystopian hellscape, so naturally the river is horribly polluted. But this was filmed on the Cuyahoga River in Ohio, which is notoriously toxic and polluted. Again, the Cuyahoga River has caught on fire numerous times. I can just imagine the production crew asking the local government if it's okay to set the river on fire, and they were all like, well, you are in luck. The brothers crash their boat, and Shuko's men think that they're dead.
This water's gross. Oh, should have a seat and a lid over it. Hey, here, finna get you in your mouth. You get diarrhea for a week and all your hair falls out.
Incidentally, this was not in the script. Scott Wolf was actually talking about the Cuyahoga River, and the camera just kept on rolling. And Scott Wolf did get diarrhea for a week, and all of his hair did fall out. I don't want to say that that's what led to the breakup of his engagement to Alyssa Milano, but I can't imagine that it helped. Shuko was furious that his man can't find the medallion in the river.
Lewis, any news?
Yes, they waited 52 minutes, but it was totally worth it. Oh, man. All right, well, movie over. So now the director of this movie directed over 200 music videos, and I looked, not a single one of them was for a Huey Lewis on the News video, which makes the almost hour-long setup for this joke even more weird.
I just want total domination of one major American city. Is that too much to ask for?
Actually, it's not asking for nearly enough. You want to unite a mystical medallion that will grant you unlimited power so you can control the poop-filled ruins of LA? Billy and Jimmy find the power core layer, but nobody believes their story.
Make it do something.
We're not exactly sure how it works.
Have you tried clicking your heels together?
You know, if Alyssa Milano made fun of me like that in front of a bunch of people, not gonna lie, I would allow it. They sneak into Shuko's tower and they get chased to an area with a bunch of seemingly dead bodies.
Hi there. Did you miss me?
Are we supposed to know who you are?
You've been annoying me for far too long.
Oh, so this was actually Shuko who has inhabited this body that was in suspended animation. Still no idea why they have a room full of frozen people. They're probably saving it for a subplot in Double Dragon 2. Poor sons of bitches. Shuko also has a tell. Whenever he's inhabiting someone's body, he'll start cracking his knuckles. It's a subtle way to figure out that it's actually him, and also completely unnecessary because he immediately just says that he's Shuko, like, right after. And they get separated and Jimmy gets taken hostage. Again, he has the power of the spirit and can inhabit any body that he wants. He can literally take control over Billy, who is wearing the medallion, not even tucked into his shirt, and just walk out the front door.
I just wish this thing would work.
That thing kept Shuko from jumping into your body. It protected you.
Okay, fine. Even though that rule was never explained, then why not use the dead guy to grab Billy instead of Jimmy and take the medallion?
I can't fight Shuko myself.
Apparently you can. We just learned he can't use his powers on you. And just then the gangs attack the Power Core hideout.
Now who's the boss?
Okay, now this reference actually makes sense.
You're lucky. Generally, I put people in the hospital.
Alright, so I had to look that one up. Apparently this actress was also on General Hospital, so for any crossover fans of soap operas and video games, this is probably very exciting to witness in a packed theater. Billy is getting his ass kicked when Jimmy shows up to save the day.
Let's kick some butt.
Exactly.
And it's Shuko.
Hello, Dragonfly.
You know, why even go to the trouble of taking over Jimmy's body? It's so stupid. He has the power to inhabit bodies and use that person's voice, but every time he gives himself away almost immediately. Like this would just have the same effect as if he just showed up as himself. You maybe fooled Billy for like 3 seconds. You know, I would give anything for the last 20 minutes of this movie to just be Billy playing Double Dragon.
Piece of junk. I could do better without you.
He's lucky that worked. Otherwise, he just threw the piece of the medallion directly at the one person they've been trying to keep it from. Like Satori and their father died to keep this from Shuko, and this dipshit just threw it directly at him.
Tired of this game.
I'm okay.
And so the most undeserving person now has the power of the body. And apparently so does Shuko. But honestly, I swear they probably just forgot who had which medallion. Shuko still manages to rip the medallion off of Billy's neck. Again, it was so easy. It's almost like he could have done that at any time this whole movie. Shuko unites the Double Dragon and turns into 2 Dragon Warriors and begins fighting the Lee brothers. So you spent your whole life trying to get an amulet that will grant you the power to not land a hit on Scott Wolf? Just then a Bobo comes in and tells Marion that Shuko hates the lights. And even though he now has the power of an immortal demon, his slight aversion to light becomes his undoing. And like, Shuko isn't melting because of the lights. He's not even squinting. Like, why does that stop him? It just... Alright, we're almost done. And both pieces fall to the Lees, and they put the pieces together. And I guess the medallion is like the mask from The Mask, where it's different depending on who has it, because it lets each brother keep a half and dresses them in flashy Las Vegas geese.
Destiny has brought together the double dragons. Guard them as I guarded you.
And it also proves that ghosts are real. I feel like the existence of an afterlife should be a way bigger deal than everyone's making it. Jimmy then inhabits Shuko's body and makes him cut a check for $129 million to the New Angeles Police Department. So the day is saved and Jimmy and Billy decide to stay in New Angeles to help rebuild. And Marion fixes up the Double Dragon shaggin' wagon.
Oh, how'd you get it here?
Well, the Corps towed it, and some motorheads fixed it up.
Hey, where's Billy?
That is a good question. He was literally right here. And a Bobo shows up and says that he wants to be friends and asks to drive their car.
Hey, what a Bobo, it's Billy.
I mean, it couldn't really be Billy because you have the soul piece of the medallion.
I'm sure glad we ditched Billy. Now Marion and I can finally be alone. What?
What? Okay, so they took the long way around for this joke. So the brothers see their updated car. Billy immediately climbs into the back and lays down without anyone seeing him, and then he lays perfectly still and quiet until he hears his brother pretend to hit on his girlfriend, and then he pops up so they can all scream in unison again. Which, by the way, they utilize that a lot in this movie.
Been us.
And you know what? Al Leong and Jeff Amata would have been better cast as the Lee brothers, even if they are a bit too old for the part. Oh my god. What? So that was Double Dragon. Not sure why this movie exists, especially since the Super Mario Bros. Movie does exist, and these two movies are very similar. You have two brothers whose parents are dead, one is serious and one is a total nutball. You have a magical item that needs to be made whole again, a beloved character actor with weird blonde hair that rules the dumpiest city you've ever seen, and both villains have weird aversions, one to germs and one to light. Both villains turn a street urchin into a large, disgusting creature. Both brothers have dumb handshakes. Ugh, there's gotta be more, but I've gotta be done with this movie.